Hey everybody, it's James Tiernan here with another episode of Friday with the Friends. Today I'm excited to bring you my good friend Seth Peek from Atascadero, California. Not really sure where that is, it's somewhere in the middle, but we're going to find out in just a second. Stay tuned. Hey Seth, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing, James?
Good. Hey, everybody, I want to meet Seth Peek from Atascadero, California. Where is Atascadero?
Well, one of the sayings around here is it's not LA and it's not the Bay. It's right in between. So you're 3 hours, basically 3 hours south of Silicon Valley and 3 hours north of Hollywood.
Okay.
And it's right in the middle, 20 minutes from the ocean. So you can go 20 minutes, you're at the beach. 15 minutes from Paso Robles wine country, widely known for our Cabernet, and about 20 minutes from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, which is one of the universities well known on the West Coast in San Luis Obispo. And fun fact, San Luis Obispo was named by Oprah as the happiest place in the United States. This was like 10 years ago.
The happiest place in the United States. Well, it's good to know.
Yeah.
So if you're not LA, you're not the Bay, what's your closest airport?
San Luis Obispo Regional Airport is a small county airport. I fly direct to Dallas. So like when we go to Summit together, I fly direct to Dallas. I can fly direct to San Diego, Seattle, Portland, Arizona, Phoenix. So you can connect in all those airports, but little 70-person jets will fly to those major hubs.
So little puddle hoppers.
Yeah, and it's really efficient. TSA takes about 30 seconds, and then it's got 2 gates. And as soon as you're on the airplane, I'm in San Diego in 50 minutes. It's really nice to see my folks down there.
You don't even get a good nap in 50 minutes.
You don't even get to put your tray table down.
Do they have tray tables?
Yeah, those small planes, actually, you get more legroom than the bigger planes. And I'm 6'4", so I would know.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know. You have no idea you're that tall. You're like a basketball player.
Yeah.
Just perpetuating the theme that everybody in California plays volleyball at the beach.
Yeah.
So tell me about the market there. What's going on? Who's buying? Who's selling?
So right now it's kind of like a mixed bag. There's still first-time home buyers, usually like people in their 30s. They're looking to get their first home, and they're tired of waiting. They've been waiting for 3 years, and more like 2 years, and they're just ready to go. So some people are upgrading, and we're also seeing people moving out, or people, family, the trust is having to sell the house. Or I have a current listing I picked up this morning where they're looking to move to Tennessee, which is a common theme. And so it's just a matter of it's California, but it's also not LA. It's not the Bay, like I said. So median home price here is $750,000.
Okay, so that's pretty cheap.
It's pretty cheap for California. Yeah. So we still have a lot of people moving here that don't want to leave the state, but maybe they're younger families and they want to move here. And during COVID, we saw a lot of people move here in the tech industry because being 3 hours south of Silicon Valley, they can get up to San Jose, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, and for bi-monthly meetings, and then work from home the rest of the time. So a lot of transplants recently, but I think it's still people coming here to retire, or people are moving out. So the transactions are not so much internally.
Sure. So it sounds like a lot of people moving from some of those other populated areas to your area to make it a little bit nicer, better quality of life.
Yeah, slower pace. We don't have rush hour traffic here. So it might slow down to about 45 miles an hour on the freeway. If that'd be the slowest it gets.
That sounds like a pretty nice deal.
And being that it's wine country in Paso Robles, and that we have heat, but it's 100 and it's dry, it's 20% humidity. We do have a lot of people moving here that could afford, a place of retirement. They like the wine, they like the golf. It's kind of like a mini Napa Valley down here.
Okay, so basically you have a really good wine country.
Yeah, it's widely known for their Cabernet. If you've been to Costco, like Niner Estates, Justin Winery, Dow Vineyards, a lot of those big names you'll see like at Costco, or maybe in the Midwest, you might see those labels. Those are going to be here in Paso Robles, well known for their Cabernet.
Well, that sounds pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
So the people that are selling, you're seeing some of them move out of California, go to other places like Tennessee?
Well, particularly my clients. I can't speak for the whole market in general, but people are moving from here. A lot of people have moved to Colorado, Idaho, and Texas and Tennessee. Those are like the main states that we're seeing people move to. We've done a few trust sales in the last couple of years that were the trustees lived outside in Texas, Idaho, so they were family members that had moved there already, and then their family members had passed away here locally.
Okay.
Yeah, California. It's not lost on me that it's probably more expensive than a lot of other states, so a lot of people are trying to find a more affordable option, especially the younger families.
Yeah, I think people are taking advantage of their higher equity and going somewhere and buying something a little bit more reasonable or something like that.
True.
I think we're seeing some of that here. People are moving to warmer climates. People are moving places where it doesn't snow,
right?
That kind of thing. Now, you said you're in the desert. Do you get snow?
Well, we're not necessarily in the desert, but it's dry here. It's very dry. It's oak grassland, so there's a lot of oak trees. Atascadero in general is known for, it has a placard, Tree City, USA. We have lots of sycamores and oaks, whereas our neighboring towns like Templeton and Paso are a lot of grassland. So we have a lot of shade. It's a little cooler here. It snows once every 2-3 years as a dusting. I think last winter we had one night when I was it was probably, some areas was 5 inches in one evening, but that is, James, that's super rare. Our town is at 850 feet elevation. Yeah. So it does get down to freezing a lot in the winter, but it heats back up to 55 by like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Sure. Now, on the other side, there's a lot of wildfires in California. Does that affect 100%. You guys?
It affects us greatly, especially with our home buyers, with our insurance here in California. To give you some perspective, I personally just bought a new house here in Atascadero. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was time to upgrade for me. So we sold a house we had for about 6 years, and now we're remodeling this other one. And to give you an idea, my old insurance policy, my old house was a 1/4 acre in the middle of town, so it's considered not really high fire, but at the time, but it is now. Mm-hmm. It was $600 a year for home insurance policy. So now my new house, it's roughly about $4,000 a year. So California, you could have some areas where there's lots of trees and it's further away from a fire station, where it's not a unheard of around here to have $8,000 policy for the year, being like 2-3 miles out of town.
Wow, that's tremendous.
So it greatly affects our ability to lend, especially if it's an FHA or if it's a first-time home buyer or someone with a really strapped budget. Yep. I've ran into that with buyers in the past month or two, where we got it down to like, okay, their insurance payment's going to be $200 a month, but we're right at the cusp of what they can afford, of what they're going to get approved for. So we had to shop around for policies. So yeah, insurance with a fire and everything. A lot of insurance companies are leaving California. I think Farmers doesn't do homes anymore here, or State Farm. And so similar to the situation you see in Florida, where they have the major hurricanes that's making it almost impossible for non-residents to get insurance. A lot of times we have that same thing here, where we have the California Fair Plan. So if you can't qualify, you still can get the Fair Plan, but it's fair in terms of you getting it. It's not fair in terms of price. It's more expensive.
Sure. Anything government sponsored is expensive.
Unless you, well, I'm not going to go there, James.
Yeah, no, So what are the things that are bringing people to Atascadero?
Atascadero. So before I move on, Atascadero, it roughly translates to like a place of like you get stuck there. So
that doesn't sound good.
Atascar in Spanish means to get stuck, right? So Atascadero is like they loosely translate it as like it's a muddy place where you get stuck. And I don't know. At some place, maybe the Salinas River was overflowing more and there was like quicksand, or I don't know. So it's basically the nickname is the mud hole, Atascadero. So people come here they're going to work at Cal Poly, which is a large university. So a lot of staff and faculty. It's 20 minutes away. We have a nuclear power plant 40 minutes away, Diablo Canyon, which is on the ocean. That is a large Pacific Gas and Electric own that. That's a large employer. And
Yep.
then we have a state prison, and we also have a state hospital, which is kind of like a prison for the criminally insane. Those are
Sure.
all
Good
in the
time.
general area. Yeah. And so those are huge employers. And then the wine industry, I mean, for gosh sakes, I think there might be like 100, maybe 150 tasting rooms in our general area. And so in terms of vineyards, there might be like close to 1,000. I'm totally speaking out of turn, but I think about 1,000 growing vineyards, people that just grow grapes, and about 100 to 200 tasting rooms. So there's a lot of wine production that employs a lot of people here too.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you get the climate for it, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that we've seen a lot of um, growth in that area over the last several years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've seen growth in terms of economic growth. The population hasn't changed much in 12 years I've lived here.
Okay,
Paso Robles, they're building a lot of houses right now. There's a big in our county. There's a big a moratorium like on the coastline for building,
makes
and
sense.
with the coastal commission and everything like that, they want to maintain the touristy attraction of the bucolic coastline. A lot of cattle ranches and like undeveloped coastline where we live. But on the inland, it's been very difficult to get through the red tape and bureaucracy of building. People don't want building, but they also want affordable housing, and they also want the same people that don't want building are also saying we need to make housing more affordable and we need our young people to stay. It's like, okay, well, we need more buildings, we need more doors, but it doesn't always work that way, the reasoning. So we've seen like not a very big growth in terms of housing here, and we've seen commercial growth. We're building a new grocery store down the street. There's a new shopping center going in around the corner. And so every once in a while we get 10 or 15 new houses, little tract, but not extraordinary growth in terms of housing. And that's largely due to opposition from like kind of like more of like a NIMBY sort of, they want to keep it the way it is, which isn't a bad thing. It's a beautiful area, but we just oftentimes we see the same people complaining about housing prices and not having anywhere to rent or buy affordably.
Sure. So they want to keep things the same. They want to be more conservative of the area. They don't want it to turn into an LA or something like that.
Oh, for sure. And I 100% agree. I don't want traffic. I don't want all these things. And there has to be some common ground where we can figure it out. But for the time being, it hasn't grown much. And so that is why a lot of California has just skyrocketed in price, because it's very hard to build here. 50% of the cost is just red tape.
Sure. I think half of it is, the reason why everything is skyrocketing in price is just supply and demand.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
There's not enough supply to meet the demand. Right.
Yeah. And people are moving out of California for sure. But there's also a lot of people coming to California.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And there was a stat where San Francisco during COVID, the population declined, right? Everybody who left the city got Zoom jobs, right?
Yeah.
And since the last year and a half, the population has been growing in San Francisco because people are coming back because they're like, actually, California's got really nice weather. I'd rather pay extra to live there,
Yeah. Well, they kind of figured that out. So the government's got you over a barrel there. If you want nice weather, there's a 7% tax for that.
I'm okay with it. I love it here.
Well, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were working with a buyer from, not your area, whether they were from the Bay Area or LA, and they wanted something different, what are the things that they need to know about buying with, in your area?
Start with things like, I don't know if Farmer's Almanac is the right word, but like look at the weather data for the region they like to live in over a 12-month period and see if like 105 degrees in the summer and 25 degrees in the morning in the winter is okay with them. And then start with those areas, because if they want to live in wine country, that's what you're going to get. So maybe if that's not the right area, then we'd go to San Luis Obispo or Pismo Beach, which is more like San Diego weather, which is right over the hill. We have lots of microclimates in SLO County. We probably have 6 microclimates in SLO County. So I would figure out what their desired weather is, because even if they like the wine industry, they like to drink wine, they like to be a part of that, it's only 30 minutes away and it's 40 degrees cooler in the summertime, but it's socked in with fog until noon. So you kind of have to like give and take. So I usually start with what kind of weather would they prefer to live in year round, and kind of show them what it looks like in the winter, summer, spring, and fall in those areas. And from there, obviously, we talk about budget. We talk about how close you want to be to your neighbors. A lot of people like the beach living, but beach houses are 4 feet to the next house, right? You reach over, you can touch the next house.
Sure.
So we figure out how close you want to be to your neighbors, what your budget is, and what kind of weather you like. And then I set them up with at least their initial search criteria in the MLS. But those are the first three things we discuss when people are coming from out of the area to SLO County, because those are huge. I've had people move to Atascadero, and after 1 year living here in the summer, they're just like, man, I left Arizona to live in more 100-degree weather. I was living by the beach,
Yeah. So definitely microclimates is a big thing that affects everybody. How close you want your neighbors, and do you want that ocean view, or do you want to drink wine every day?
Right. You can do both, but you're in Atascadero. You can buy a fixer-upper on an acre for $800,000. You can buy a shack
for $800,000.
Yeah, with an acre, or you can buy a shack that needs work that's 2 feet from your neighbor's house on the beach or near the beach in Morro Bay for $800,000.
That's $800,000.
So somewhere around there, like a 2-bedroom, like little 1,200 square foot house. So it really, I laugh, but at the same time, we just sold a house in San Diego that was just in a tract home from the late 50s, and it sold for $1 million. So I'm laughing because it seems cheap to me up here, whereas like other places in the country, it's like a different frame of reference. But it's really important to someone coming from out of the area, if they're going to work around here. Obviously, we don't see that much unless they're relocating for like a large, like a company they're going to work for here. Most of the people that relocate here are retired or they work remotely. That I usually see. So climate and proximity to your neighbors is probably comes before your budget.
Yeah, as long as it's within your budget, right?
Sure. Some people cannot afford to live at the beach for what they want, so they have to opt for weather they don't desire as much. But
yeah, so just the weather is a big deal. What's your microclimate? Sounds like there's plenty of job opportunities between the university, the hospitals, the prison, and wine country.
There can be. I've found that people that are relocating are generally not job searching when they get here. They usually have something already lined up.
The Zoom jobs, maybe.
Yeah, or they work remotely. But occasionally we run into people that they move here and rent for a few years while they work at the power plant. They get a job at the power plant and they rent for a few years, and then they start searching for a home.
Okay.
That's generally what we see around here. And then unfortunately, working in the cellar at a winery or working in a tasting room, you're not going to make enough money to buy a house around here. That's just the way it is.
Sure.
So generally, the people that are buying homes here are either upgrading or they're coming here and they already have their economy's already set, their finances are already set, and they perhaps have a work from home position or they're retired.
Okay. So what else is going on in that area? I mean, sounds like a really great place. What are some of the things that are like recreational things there? I mean, are you close enough to ski country?
No. Maybe 2.5 hours to China Peak to the Sierra Nevadas. So Yosemite is less than 3 hours away.
Okay.
So Yosemite's directly east, about 2.5, 3 hours east of here. Our coastline is huge. So, like if you just go up the coast, it's really nice. There's lots of hiking. There's lots of surfing. A lot of people do that. There's also like Hearst Castle is in our county.
Oh, yeah.
And Hearst Castle is a big attraction for out of towners. And our county butts up against the south point of Big Sur coastline.
Okay.
So the Big Sur coastline runs up to Carmel and Monterey. And that's beautiful. It's 70 miles of coastline. So a lot of people go camping and hiking up there. A lot of people come here for wine, obviously. Besides the Paso Robles wine country in the north part of the county, in the south part of the county, we have like Edna Valley, We have Santa Ynez, which is in Santa Barbara County, but general region. A lot of Pinots and Chardonnays down there. So a lot of people, they have the cooler grapes down south, if you like the warmer weather grapes up north. So lots of wine, lots of breweries, lots of distilleries, just a lot of, restaurants and the kind of thing you would imagine in a wine country. Recreationally beyond that, we have Pismo Beach dunes, so a lot of dune buggies. It's the only coastline in California where you could ride a dune buggy or an ATV on the sand along the beach. It's a state park that's an off-road park, so a lot of people come from out of the area to go dune buggying there in the beach. But yeah, lots of different stuff. There's fishing lakes. A lot of people do bass fishing in our reservoirs, and lots going on here. But the biggest draw here when people come from out of the area, especially from like Midwest or the South, is that there's so much topography here. So we are 800 feet elevation, 20 minutes from the ocean, and everywhere you go in our county, you've got rolling hills, you've got trees you're driving through. It's just very greatly on each corner of the county. So there's something for everyone here. There's, like I said, there's beach, there's grassland, there's off-roading, there's fishing, there's plenty of wine, alcohol, breweries, distilleries. Yeah.
Sounds really good. I mean, we're flatland, so we don't have any hills.
Yeah. It's interesting when I go to like Dallas, or I'm sitting in my hotel, like somewhere like, Chicago, and I'm just looking out, and you can almost on a clear day in Dallas, you can see Fort Worth kind of.
Yeah. You can see the curvature of the earth.
Yeah. And here it's like, I look out my window and I see like the hillside across the street, and like everything's like that here. It's just like kind of like rambling, but right now it's a bit smoky because we have a big fire up near Sacramento and Chico area.
Yeah.
But it's a little hazy outside. Yeah.
Well, Seth, thanks a lot. This has been really educational, a lot of great information. And for all the people that are thinking about moving to California, Atascadero sounds like a great spot, and certainly lots of opportunity there. So if you have any interest to move in that area, please feel free to reach out to me or connect to Seth directly. His information is right at the bottom. He'd be happy to help you guys.
Definitely.
All right.
Thank you, James. Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming, and thanks for sharing about your town.
All right.
Have a great day, everybody.
See ya.